Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com, the number one Superman fan site in the world. In this, our September 16th, 2024 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, excuse me, including some of the extra rap gifts that some of the cast and crew have showed off this week. We're going to be talking about the Superman Christopher Reeve Story documentary film that will be people will be watching before our next show. We've got some interviews with his children that are included in tonight's show. We also have regular segments this week in history. We forgot last week. We said it was the end of our Clark Kent analysis situation, but we forgot both Brandon Routh and Henry Cavill. So we've got Brandon Routh today. We're looking at his Clark Kent costume. And joining me, as always, are my good friends Michael Bailey, Mark Lax. Welcome, gentlemen. How are we?
We're doing okay.
Hello, Steve.
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. We are now live streaming on Instagram. So welcome to everyone on Instagram who is watching us for the first time live tonight. We appreciate you joining us, and there are plenty of you who are tuning in, so that's fantastic. Love the fact that we are now able to live stream onto Instagram, as well as YouTube and Facebook, as we do each week. So welcome, and we hope you enjoy the next hour of this Superman program that we do each week live here on Superman Homepage, discussing everything that's happened in the world of Superman. And we want to thank our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, Tina Murray and Luke Moody. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate the coffee that you buy us each week. And that's all it costs you, folks. If you want to join and help out, sponsor the Superman homepage and have your name read out, all you have to do is click the join button on YouTube, or you can go to patreon.com/Superman homepage. There are different levels of membership with different levels of perks, but the main perk is to have your name read out here as a sponsor of the show. So we really do appreciate the support we get. You keep this show alive, and we appreciate all the support we get. All right, so let's get into tonight's discussion topics, guys. We'd like to start with movie news, and we'll do that once again this week. And there have been some images, some photos shared this week from the cast of the Superman movie that is coming out next year. They have given us a look at some of the rap gifts that were given out to some of the cast and crew. And here is a look at some of those images. There was this really cute mug that shows off the character depictions, the designs for the characters in the main cast members of the upcoming Superman movie. You've got Superman there, Clark Kent, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, and Mr. Terrific, and then obviously it goes around. You can't see the other characters around the other side. But what I found interesting was Clark Kent is so much shorter than Superman in these images.
It's just a perspective thing. He's hunched over.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah, stooping a little bit. Got the glasses. Got the funky hairdo that he does have as Clark Kent. That's interested a lot of people. Lex Luthor in a business suit.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for that. I'm assuming that they're pulling more from the post-crisis version of Lex with that. So I'm kind of glad to see that that's what they're kind of continuing with and drawing from.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, some interesting depictions there from the character designs. There was a Doe's Holes Donuts shop. There a cap there. The cast and crew 2024. Baseball jacket, I guess you call it, bomber jacket, and Big Belly Burger can holder. There's the Genesis lanyard, which is Genesis was the code name that the film was being shot under, so that it kind of kept it under wraps, although everybody pretty much knew that's what it was. And interestingly, like a plastic-looking rubbery fortress crystal.
Yeah.
The great thing about the Big Belly Burger thing is that is from the comics. That is the logo that they had. It was a big guy with a huge belly and a beard, based on somebody, I forget who. I don't know if it was somebody in like the production department, but they based the physical thing of the Big Belly mascot, which is of course a takeoff of Bob's Big Boy.
Yes.
over here in the States.
Hmm.
But yeah, now I want a Big Belly Burger drink koozie. I mean, I really do. That looks really cool.
It does. So some interesting items there. That they splurged on some of these items. Some of them may have been used as props or whatever in the film. I'm guessing. You might have seen Big Belly Burger can koozies in shots or something during if they go inside the restaurant. You never know. But I mean, the mug and the jacket, obviously, and the lanyard and the cap and all those kinds of things. But the crystal kind of was an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm that kind of brings up are they gonna have a cross between different fortresses with like crystals and hopefully other things? Because I got to admit, and I might get excommunicated for this. I'm kind of done with the crystalline fortress. I
I
think
agree.
we've seen it. I think we've seen enough of it. I just I think it's run its course.
100%.
Yeah, interesting. Okay,
100%. Love it for the movie, but it's
Let's move
not enough. Yeah.
yes, yeah, fair enough. I can agree with that. All right, so that's the upcoming Superman movie, 2025, July 11th. We're looking forward to all the details coming out around that, and we still wait for if a teaser will be in front of anything coming out in December, which is the likely time we might see something. So we'll wait and see. Is there a bigger convention? Is it like New York Comic Con or something like that coming up towards the end of the year, or is there another convention that we might see something?
I don't know. Is New York in October or?
Okay,
I believe it is.
Yeah, October. We might see some more promotions. We'll wait and see. Interesting. All right, so the other film that is coming out this week, is on the 21st and then on the 25th there in the US, the Superman, the Christopher Reeve Story documentary film, which, by the way, still holds a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, even though, obviously, it's mostly critics and some advanced screenings that have been seen out there. That is pretty impressive that it still holds 100% rating. But we're seeing a lot of promotion, and the Emmy Awards took place this past week, and Will Reeve, who is obviously, I think he was co-hosting something there for ABC's coverage of the Emmy Awards because he is a journalist on the ABC. Oh, something's happened. Have we frozen, guys? No, we're back. Okay. He was on the red carpet and was interviewed by Variety. And here's a little bit of that interview, which we'll play for you. He's talking about his cameo appearance in the upcoming Superman film.
Now you've delved into acting. You got that big role in the Superman movie.
I promise you it's not big, but it was a lot of fun. It was very quick. Blink and you'll miss it, but it was a great time.
But how great is that? Obviously a tribute to your dad. Did you ever think one day you'd be in a Superman movie?
It's an honor. I think it's a nice full circle moment. It's great for the fans who have loved Superman for so many decades, and now as DC reboots the Superman franchise, it was a fun honor to be a part of, and I'm really excited to see what happens with it.
So that's Will Reeve talking about his cameo in the upcoming Superman movie. So heaps of people saying he looks so much like his dad.
Yes.
He sounds like him.
No, he looks nothing like him.
No, not at all. I think more so than his brother, who is obviously from a different mum. But he looks so much like his father. And people saying, oh, he should take on the mantle. And it's like, well, he's not an actor. People, just because you look like it doesn't mean you necessarily, he's a journalist. That's what he does. He's not an actor. His dad trained at Juilliard. So you just don't step into the role and just because you look like it and because you're somebody's son.
Yeah, I was like watching him talk, and it was kind of eerie. It was just like he's certainly kind of like Jack Quaid. He's got his dad's smile.
Right. Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. John Patrick Van Pelt. Sorry, there. Mark just jumping in quickly. He says, I can't wait to see it Saturday. I'm hoping to get a photo if there is a movie poster. And thank you, John, for that super chat, which, folks, you can. There are super chats, super stickers, and super thanks on YouTube if you would like to donate and quickly have your featured question or comment on the screen. We're happy to do that for you. So, looking forward. John, I think there are a lot of posters out there in the movie theaters up on the walls that you might be able to grab a photo of yourself out in front of the poster. And if you do, feel free to share that with us so that we can feature it here in next week's program for anybody who does get out there and see it this week. So looking forward to seeing some of the feedback from fans when they have seen this documentary film. Sorry, Mark, you were about to say.
Oh no, I'm just saying, in the face of his nose, for some reason, he had, I don't know, it was like Christopher Reeve had a kind of distinctive nose, and I don't know, I just see that in his son.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And then the Will was joined by his brother and sister at the what was it? I'm looking for what program it was. Good Morning America, where they chatted with Diane Sawyer, who is the host of Good Morning America, and they were chatting about the upcoming documentary film on their father's life and legacy. And here is a little bit of that from GMA.
A superhero streaking across the sky. For almost 10 years, Christopher Reeve embodied Superman, the mythic American champion of justice. An actor so gifted, it's no surprise that in real life, there was nothing he couldn't do. He was an airplane pilot, an expert sailor, a diver, ice hockey, soccer. And by the way, he was also a Juilliard-trained pianist who would lead the family sing-alongs. That's little Will at the piano. Will, Alexandra, and Matthew remembering those happy days, even if they weren't exactly the...
So that's just a bit of that interview, which obviously you don't get to see what they have to say. But if you want to check out that film, that interview in full, that video, it's up on our website, supermanhomepage.com, and some just them looking back at some of the footage that you will see in the upcoming documentary film of their childhood, and it's just really impressive just to see them all together and talking about celebrating the life and career of their father.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to check that out yet, but I'm not surprised considering Will works for Good Morning America, I think. I think that's the program that he works on. So, but no, I'm glad that it's getting the national exposure for the movie. And it's always weird seeing, the mainstream press talk about like Superman at all. It always feels like they're looking at it. It's like, what is this weird thing called Superman? And it's just, and then it just makes you realize that, normal people don't think about Superman all the time. So it's probably something like that is probably kind of exciting to see. Probably brings them back to when they were kids.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were just going to jump in there, Mark. Are either of you going to see the film this weekend?
This is where yeah, go ahead, Mark. You go first.
No, I don't think I will get to this weekend. No, unfortunately.
I'm going to go see Batman because there is a special screening of the Tim Burton Batman film on the 21st for Batman Day, and I was just like, hey, I have gotten to see Superman the movie twice in the theater. I might as well go do this. I saw Superman on his birthday last year. Jeez.
Wow.
I'm gonna get mugged. I'm gonna walk out. I'm gonna walk out of my office here and get mugged. But no. Otherwise, I would. I wasn't planning on going to the theater at all that day, but it just popped up that was playing. I will probably be seeing this in streaming, which is kind of my preferred way to watch things.
Speaking of Batman, did you guys see that he's getting his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
No,
Well, that's okay. Christopher Reeve already has one.
No, Batman the character.
I understand, but still, Christopher Reeve is Superman. He's got his own. It's okay.
Wow, I can't believe Batman gets one before Superman. This is.
No, well, wait a minute. You're right. He shouldn't get it before, but wait till the movie comes out.
Yeah.
I bet you he'll get one. He should get it first. We know, but even so, he'll get his.
All right, moving on.
You know, we've got to let this go. We really do.
Yeah.
We as Superman fans have such a chip on their shoulder regarding Batman. It's okay. He's a fad. It's gonna blow over in a minute now.
Very
We'll be
good.
talking about Batman 5 years from now. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
that's right. Nobody. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story is in cinemas, in theaters, September 21st, with encore presentations taking place September 25th, which is Christopher Reeve's birthday. It's here in Australia. It's early October, so I'll be checking out the buying my tickets because I will. Even my mum, I had a chat with her today, and she's saying, "Please make sure you include me. I'd love to go see it with you." So.
Oh,
Might make it a family affair and go a few of us. And because there's only, like we said, limited screenings. So if you miss out, you have to wait till it becomes available on Max, which will be, probably not too long to wait. But there you have it. So, and Christopher Reeve in this promotion of this movie is now featured on the upcoming People magazine. Where do I have that image? Somewhere here. Yes. It's on the front. He's on the front cover of the magazine. Whoops, turn that one off. Where is it? People magazine. Oh, I turned that one off too. There we have it. There is the magazine cover for People magazine, September 23rd edition. The Christopher Reeve Only We Knew. So John Patrick Van Pelt saying that his mother has purchased that for him this week, and he got to sit through and read it. So that is out now, folks, if you want to pick that up. I'm sure it has great articles inside. We've got a question in the comments from Fran Broff on Instagram. What is going to happen with the Superman rights? Well, we do know that eventually it will, in another, is it like 10 years' time, be in the public domain? But that's the character that as he appeared in 1938, not the character that we know now, not the symbol that we know now, not the trademark. It's a whole legal minefield, folks. So if you think you're going to be going out there and creating your own Superman content and getting away with it in 10 years' time, you might want to have another think about that, because the legal department of Warner Brothers and DC will be on you like, I won't say what.
Well, it's just one of the, like you said, it's basically the original Golden Age conception of Superman. So that S symbol, leaping an eighth of a mile, Lois Lane, the Daily, maybe not even the Daily Star would be in there. So people are going to be able to create content, but it's just going to be really, like, if you move a little too far to the left or the right, they're going to come down on you with a cease and desist order pretty quick. So It's one of those things, like, as soon as Winnie the Pooh entered the public domain, there's been this slew of like Winnie the Pooh horror films, because apparently that's where we are as a society. And it's just like, Disney still has Winnie the Pooh. You're still gonna have that version protected by Disney. So it really, I don't think it's gonna, for all the people that are like, oh, finally he'll be in the public domain and we can find, it'll be the Superman we all want. Yeah, watch out.
Yeah. It's very, as Mind the Gap says, public domain rights are very murky. He says, I saw somewhere there was a time when NBC wanted to reboot their Buck Rogers show because he's entered the public domain. And I think that ended up in a landmine of legal things. Of course, the family then, came through and made their claims. So it's very, it is, I mean, like Fran Broff says, what about Marvel? Could they jump in and do a 1938 version of Superman? Well, technically they could, but then they couldn't call it Superman because that trademark still exists. They couldn't use the S that we know because that trademark still exists. It wouldn't be the Superman that you'd be looking at. As Reefism says, it's similar to the early versions of Mickey Mouse and what they've been doing there with that. And even then, Disney's, slapping wrists left, right, and center with people thinking they could create horror versions of Mickey Mouse and all those kinds of things from his original concept. But seek legal
And
information before you just go ahead and do anything.
And if Marvel was going to do their version of Superman, they would either do Hyperion from Squadron Supreme, or they're Sentry's about to make an appearance in the Thunderbolt series.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no upside for them to do it at all. One, I don't think Marvel is that petty at this point. Maybe back in the early 2000s when Joe Quesada and Bill Yemis were in charge of the company and acting like petulant teenagers, calling them AOL comics and being kind of jerks about the whole thing. Maybe then. I mean, they had that whole Marvel series that had the same logo as Smallville. It was just so. But now there's just, since they're owned by Disney's. I don't think Disney wants that fight.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Speaking of Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve, the DC shop have a whole slew of new Superman the movie merchandise that you can now purchase at shop.dc.com using that crystalline S logo that came out with the promotion of the film. There's the standard, the poster image of "You'll Believe a Man Can Fly" type imagery. There's also some coffee mugs with the symbol of the S that was used as promotion, not the one that's seen on the chest of the costume. So some new 78 Superman the movie merchandise, DC shop.dc.com.
Yeah, I like that red S. That's neat to see.
So it's out there, folks, if you're interested in purchasing those. All right, moving on. Looking now towards the television side of things, Superman and Lois is not that far away from premiering its fourth and final season on our TV screens. I know John Patrick Van Pelt earlier in the comments was asking about if we do know now when will we yet moving our show from a Monday because of the fact that Superman and Lois is now going to be on Monday nights. Not yet, John. I will give you that information hopefully next week. So we will give you those details about when we will be broadcasting this show while Superman and Lois's fourth season is on Monday nights. So stay tuned for that. But we do have an official synopsis from the CW on this fourth and final season. And it reads, Season 4 of Superman and Lois picks up right where last season left off, with Superman and Luthor's monster locked in a ferocious moon-wrecking battle as Clark fights for his life against the seemingly unstoppable creature. Back on the ground, General Lane struggles to stay alive after being kidnapped by Luthor's henchmen, while Lois, Jordan, and Jonathan race against time to rescue him. But standing in their way is Lex Luthor himself, who has permanently moved to Smallville as the next step in his malicious plan to destroy Lois Lane. Meanwhile, keep going, so I've got more to read. Meanwhile, Lana Lang, I'm just going to get the image of the poster up there, uses her position as mayor to fight back against Luthor's schemes, a move which puts her in the sights of the most dangerous man in the world and threatens everything she holds dear. This includes her relationship with John Henry Irons, who must put his Ironworks plans on hold and rejoin the DoD now that General Lane is missing. But they aren't the only duo in trouble, as Chrissy Beppo and Kyle Cushing face an uphill battle of their own, with countless roadblocks that threaten to ruin their future together. Amid all the chaos, Sarah Cortez and Natalie Irons also join the fight against Luthor, while both facing impossible decisions about their paths in life. And as Clark's battle with the terrifying monster continues, Lois, her boys, and the world must face an unthinkable possibility. What if Superman never returns?
Wow.
Well,
And that's only the
exciting.
first hour of the show. That's only the first hour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of that's the season synopsis,
Yeah.
but I guess that they're kind of just showing us what we might see in the first couple of episodes. But we also got to see some photos for this forthcoming season with Lois and Superman there. So obviously it looks like a flashback. There is Lex with Miss, what's her name? Mercy Graves. There's Chrissy Beppo and Kyle. And there we have John and his daughter Natalie. and there is the Kent family, mostly with Lana, and I think, is that Chrissy also? Who's that on the couch with them?
I don't know. I can't tell.
Can't make out who that woman is
No.
there next to Jonathan. But yeah, so there are some images for the upcoming 4th season, first couple of episodes of images. Looking forward to this. Monday, October 7th is the double episode premiere, 8 p.m. The first 2 titles of the episodes are The End and the Beginning, and then A World Without. And don't forget, you can see a season 3 finale re-showing, a rerun of that on the week prior, Monday, September 30th, an encore of the season 3 finale.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. There was another picture that showed Lois talking to Lex in the past because he had hair, and he looks like he's like wearing a zoot suit. It's kind of weird. I didn't realize that Lex was a fan of the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, but you know, everybody's got to have something that they're into. So I guess that's okay. It's a zoot suit riot, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there you have it. So upcoming 4th season, as I said, premiering on the October 7th, Monday, October 7th, and then we'll stay in the Monday 8 p.m. time slot for the remaining 8 episodes for the final season of Superman and Lois. So yeah, some guests, some cameos. Looking forward to seeing what they bring us for this last season of Superman and Lois. Cannot wait for that. All right, we sadly did have some deaths this past week. I'm not sure if we mentioned them last week, but we talked about James Earl Jones having passed away. Obviously, he was best known for voicing Darth Vader in the Star Wars movies and Mufasa in The Lion King. But not a lot of fans remember the fact that he also appeared in an episode of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, back in the day. He did, of course, play Franklin Stern.
Franklin Stern.
Yep,
Yeah,
owner of the
Franklin
Daily
Stearns.
Planet. Perry, Lex. This is during the period of season 1 where Lex had looked like he'd destroyed the Daily Planet, and then Perry White went to Franklin Stern and asked him to help out, and eventually he did buy the Daily Planet and rebuild it and got it back on its feet. So there you go. James Earl Jones was part of the Superman universe.
I was very impressed by that. I saw him playing him, yeah.
Yeah, I think people forget that in the original conception of the show, Perry White was supposed to be black.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm remembering correctly, I could be completely misremembering this. I think they were trying to get James Earl Jones to play the character, but they went in another direction, obviously, and we got Lane Smith, which I'm very happy about. But yeah, it was just really surprising, back in '94, seeing James Earl Jones as Franklin. Not only James Earl Jones, but James Earl Jones as Franklin Stearns, who was a relatively new supporting character in the Superman books.
Mm-hmm.
So him getting onto screen so quickly was really kind of exciting. Disappointing that we never saw him again, but he brought the globe back, so that was exciting. I liked that scene.
Yeah, for sure. And when I'm mentioning deaths, John Cassidy, who's a comic book artist, mostly renowned for his time at Marvel, but in recent years, as 2023, was doing some covers for the Superman books. And Mark Waid, who was a good friend of his, wrote a touching tribute on Facebook about the passing of John Cassidy, who was only very young. I think he was 52.
52.
Yeah, so pretty much the same age as me, and that's sad to see of his passing. I still don't know the cause of his death, but very sad that he passed away this past week.
Yeah, he did the Superman covers during the Grounded storyline, which is, I don't know if that's unfortunate or not. considering I'm not a really big fan of Grounded as a story, at least the first part of it. But no, he was much more known as a Marvel guy. He drew the Astonishing X-Men. He drew the Marvel Knight, the first story arc for the Marvel Knights Captain America. He's just one of those guys that people really just seemed to glom onto because he had such a very distinctive style. And yeah, reading that thing from Mark Waid, it was just like, apparently he was the guy you didn't want to go to the bar with because he'd make off with all the ladies, which doesn't surprise me. He was a good-looking guy. But man, 52 years old, that's super young.
Yeah. Very sad indeed. I'm just realizing here on Instagram, for those folks who are watching us for the first time on Instagram, that you're only seeing me in the middle because of it's obviously done in portrait. You're not seeing Michael and Mark, which is kind of strange for people watching and seeing some of the images cut off and what have you. So I apologize that's done that way. It's weird that Instagram doesn't allow you to see it in landscape. And I don't think there's anything I can do about that. But that is a weird way of viewing it if you are on Instagram. So apologize for that. They are both good-looking guys that you should be able to see. But at the moment, you're just kind of watching me in the middle reacting to what they're saying. So
Instagram
he's
users
lying,
out.
everybody. It's just Steve throwing his voice. He's just really, really good at that.
Practicing my ventriloquism. So if you're keen to see the full scope of this show, then just go to supermanhomepage.com/live, where you'll be able to see everything that's going on in the whole wide version of this format of the show. So that is strange, and I'll have to have a look into if it's possible to somehow do it differently. But there you have it. supermanhomepage.com/live if you're interested in seeing the full show the way it's supposed to be presented. All right, we are at the halfway mark of tonight's show. We're going to take a quick break, play some messages, and then come back on the flip side and do This Week in History, fan favourite segment, and our Clark Kent costume analysis series looking at Brandon Routh. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be back right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program. Just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/supermanhomepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's supermanhomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. Supermanhomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. Supermanhomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. Supermanhomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Holy icicles! In their daily pursuit of justice, our superhero characters do battle with the world's most evil villains. Where will the next evil villain come from? Maybe you will create them in Post Superheroes Create a Villain Contest.
Grand prize. 9 kids win a one-week trip to Hollywood. They'll have breakfast with these superheroes.
And the villain they've created.
Second prize, 1,000 win bicycles.
Millions will enter, and everyone who does gets Superheroes Puffy stickers.
Details on specially marked boxes of Alphabet, Super Sugar Crisp, Honeycomb, and Pebble cereals. You can draw and paint your villain in the picture provided. 3 different pictures.
Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman and Robin.
3 3 grand prizes per picture.
The most original villains win.
Holy Hollywood!
Post Superheroes Create a Villain Contest. Details on specially marked boxes of Alphabet, Super Sugar Crisp, Honeycomb, and Pebble cereals.
And we're back on Superman Homepage Live, where we're going to get into the fan favorite segment of our show right now. Here we go. All right, Mark, what was our fan favorite question from last week?
Our fan favorite question from last week was, what is your favorite Lex Luthor statue or action figure?
All right, Michael, who was up first?
JP Rocha is up first. My favorite Lex Luthor figure or statue that I own is the Legion of Collectors exclusive Funko Pop. That is a nice one. I have that one as well.
Yeah, that is very nice. Thank you, JP.
Lorenzo Valdez wrote, my favorite Lex action figure is this Michael Rosenbaum Smallville one. If I had this action figure when I met him, I would have brought it for him to hold in the photo, but instead I brought an action figure of his Flash from Justice League.
Very good. That's a nice photo. Thank you, Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Nice to put a face to a name. But yeah, that's him with Michael Rosenbaum with the Flash action figure, but that is the Lex Luthor action figure that he is showing us this week. Next up was Jason J, who wrote, I'm choosing this Lex statue as I am a big fan of the green and purple Lex battlesuit. He's standing triumphant over some Daily Planet debris, looks cool, and his likeness is pretty spot on. Thank you, Jason. That is a cool statue indeed. And those are the three people who sent in their responses to the fan favorite question this week. So thank you so much, guys, for doing that. Michael, what is our new fan favorite question for this week?
Oh, what is your favorite Lois Lane statue or action figure?
Yep, that's our question for this week. So if you want to get involved and show us your favorite Lois Lane statue, action figure, figurine, whatever it might be, the email address is on the screen right now, info@supermanhomepage.com. Send your emails to that address and we will show off your fan favorite Lois Lane figurines, statues, action figures when we return to this segment next week. So that's definitely what we'll be doing then. So make sure you get involved. John Patrick Van Pelt says, do you guys have action figures that you guys want to show on screen? I do have a Lex Luthor one that I will quickly grab. Bear with me 1 second. This is going to be a hefty carry, so just wait 1 second. I'll try to...
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm going to unplug my earphone.
Oh, no. He can't hear us. All right,
So-
now Mark
so what
and
do
I
you
can take
think
over the show.
about
It's
it?
great.
It
What-
might,
what do you think
it
about
might
it?
actually be
Wow.
easier. if-
Wait, cheese it.
if-
Steve's back. He can hear us.
If I turn the screen... Whoops. Nearly.
We're going to watch Steve die on... Whoa!
Wow.
That thing is... Huh.
So there you have it. That was, from Superman Returns, the Lex Luthor standing over Superman statue from, I think it was Weta Workshop did those, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't have the original, but I have a smaller version of the... I will always say, my heart will always say the Superpowers as my favorite. But
do you want to hold that up
first-
again, Michael? Yeah, I'm going to put you
sure.
solo so that everyone who's... There we go. So there's Michael, folks, who are on Instagram who didn't get to see him before.
Hey, everybody. Enjoy my posters. No, but actually, oddly enough, my favorite that isn't that one was from the Silver Age line that DC Direct did. There was a Lex Luthor in his prison outfit, like the prison grays. And it's just such a nice looking figure. It's not like one of the armor. It's not really ornate. It's just like a really cool Lex Luthor action figure. So
Nice.
those would be the two that I would choose.
Excellent.
I do not have one.
All good. Thanks.
Not have one.
Thanks for
But
the
I
question.
am bald.
Yeah, that helps. Thank you, John, for asking us that. So that was a quick scramble to give you something to look at. All right, let's move on to our costume analysis series. This week we are looking at Brandon Routh's Clark Kent from the movie Superman Returns. I know he was in the crossover for the Crisis on the CW, but we're looking at his Superman Returns look as Clark Kent from that movie. So let's have a look at that. Here we move. Here is Brandon Routh both as Clark Kent and as Superman. But we're looking at the Clark Kent costume and his look as Clark Kent. And we start with, as we normally do, the glasses. And here we have just some plain black spectacles that have a thinner frame towards the bottom, not as bulky as some of the other Clark Kent glasses we've looked at in previous weeks. But nevertheless, just pretty much stock standard spectacles.
Yeah, it's kind of like the happy medium between the Dean Cain glasses and the Christopher Reeve ones. So I think it's a nice balance, especially for 2006.
Yeah, they're nice. I mean, I don't know everything that went into why they wanted to be, this certain style. I mean, I think it's big enough for his face. I'm not saying it would cover, it's a big disguise, but I do think if he takes them off, you can tell the difference that there's a little bit of a hiding his face with that. But I really don't know what else to say about this.
Yeah, there isn't much you can say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, we don't have a hat with this Clark Kent, which is a shame because it's always like the fedora. But we do move on to looking at the suit. And here they gave him a very kind of, it's both modern and retro in that it's, it's a three-piece suit. It's very drab, but because it's a browny grey. He's even wearing a brown tie. It's a, very light blue business shirt underneath. And he wears an overcoat, and sometimes he's got a nice look about it. They're pleated pants. It's a great look for Clark Kent. I really liked this version of the suit. But the fact that it has a button-up vest underneath it sets it off for me.
Yeah, I'll agree with that completely. I love the three-piece aspect of it. It's very much trying to be the modern version of what Christopher Reeve wore in Superman the movie. So, but and it suited it. It suited him very well. That is a terrible thing. Intended. But no, it's just. I think also the reason the vest looks so good is just because of Brandon Routh's frame. Mm-hmm. He is 90% torso, or it just seems like that. I mean, he's got that long swimmer's body, so the vest just tapers nicely on him.
I like the three-piece suit. I think it looks a little baggier on him, which I think is appropriate. I mean, that really is just a good style for him. I mean, it's not as conservative as Christopher Reeve, and might not be it's not as casual as Dean Cain. But like you said, it's kind of an amalgam, if I can say that, of both. It's a little of a modern style, but it's still a little bit, conservative enough. And I really do love the vest. I love that. Just really,
it's a great look. And then we have a look at the hair and the face. He's definitely got the cleft chin. He had the great look. Obviously, we chose Brandon Routh to try to mimic the Christopher Reeve version of the character. The hair was a difference in this film because as opposed to Christopher Reeve, who had more kind of a wavy hairstyle for both his Clark Kent and his Superman, Brandon Routh's hair here was very straight. And if we look, the part is on both sides the same, whether it's Superman or Clark Kent. They just gave him more of a swept back look as Superman and did that very obvious fake spit curl on his forehead. It was not with Christopher Reeve, because he had that wavy look, the forelock kind of just fell on his forehead. But here, Brandon Routh's hair is very straight, and they brought it forward for his Clark Kent and swept it back for his Superman.
Yeah, this is the only kind of misstep for the look for me, is that he's got kind of emo hair, for lack of a better term. Just the way that it's like kind of in his face. It's sort of like the hair that Jordan had in the Bizarro world on Superman and Lois. And I get it that, you know, they're trying to make it more what it would be a contemporary version of the Christopher Reeve look.
Right.
But it's just, I think it's where the CW Crisis version got it right, is that it looked more natural. And here it looks like a wig, frankly, which I think is kind of a problem too. I mean, it's not as bad looking as that, like, the CG shot of him flying off at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's just, like I said, it's the one area where I think it just lets the whole look down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think in some of these different photos, I mean, you know, that right there doesn't look, to me, it doesn't look as quite as bad when you show the other one where we just see his face. You know, that looks kind of like the wig. You know, the other picture where we just seems a little wavier. I think looks a little more natural. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, it's definitely, yeah, that one looks to me a little more natural. I mean, to me anyway. But the other photos look a little more sculpted, a little more, you know, they wig-like. Yeah, it's certainly the least, I think, of all of the whole look.
So overall, what are we giving this Clark Kent look for Brandon Routh? I mean, other than the hair, I think they pretty much got everything else right. I love the suit. I love the look. So me, it's going to be like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8 too.
I'm going to say 7.
Okay, so that's okay.
I was about to say Mark's gonna say 7 because Mark always goes one lower than us.
Yeah, no,
it's okay.
He keeps it real.
It's fine.
I was thinking 8,
It's
but
fine.
you know, the hair just set it off a little bit more. But other than that, it's a great look.
So there you have it. That is our Brandon Routh Clark Kent analysis of his costume, and not a lot to look. Whenever there's not a hat involved in the Clark Kent look of the character, there's less to talk about. But we now look next week to Henry Cavill's to finish off this series of costume analysis of Clark Kent, which will bring us right up to
the shirtless picture.
Yeah. Which will bring us right up to the beginning of Superman and Lois for season 4. So it'll be good timing. So thank you for those who reminded me of the fact that we forgot Brandon Routh and Henry Cavill's Clark Kent for this series of costume analyses. All right. So that's the costume analysis for Clark Kent for this week. We now move on to This Week in History. Here is your intro, Michael. I will give it to you. There it is, right now.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bonds of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
We got about an equal balance of comics and real-world stuff this week. We're going to go back to 1944 with Action Comics number 78, which has covers that are very 1944 Action Comics. We're in the later part of the war. It's getting a little silly, but that's okay. In 1964, we have Superman number 173 in an iconic cover. I don't think anybody would look at this and not think, wow, I really want to see that. Brainiac, as you can see, just wants a pair of pants, a decent pair of pants. But I love that Jimmy is constantly selling Clark out this era. And maybe we'll see something like this in the new movie. Who knows? 1974, we got Superman number 282, which, wow, Superman. Okay. You know, the guy had it coming. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, he really didn't like that guy.
No, because it brings up something that a friend of mine, John Wilson, was talking about. Is like, people are like, Superman never gets angry or it's out of character. It's like, no, but if he's angry, you've done something really bad. So that's what I'm just going to assume. 1984. It's not. He's not on the cover, but Infinity Incorporated #9. This was the introductory storyline for the Infinity Incorporated series that went back to a JSA story from the late 40s, where Superman. Man, next time we're going to be talking about a cover that is just like, it is just amazing. But going to 1994, we have Guardians of Metropolis #1. This was one of 2 miniseries that came out. There was also an SVU. SCU. Though I do assume that in the DC universe, their version of Dick Wolf has done Law and Order Special Crimes Unit. It just has to happen. Also, that same week, Superman #94, which was part 2 of Dead Again, which was more of Conduit, who is a villain that I like a lot, and we would have gotten more of Dan Jurgens dealing with Conduit if Brian Michael Bendis didn't happen. So if you want another reason to be mad at Brian Michael Bendis' run of Superman, there it is. 2004, we have an issue that made me cry. It makes me cry every single time I see this. His Ventures of Superman #632. This is the aftermath of Lois getting shot. It is one of Greg Rucka's best issues of his entire run. If you ever want to see the Justice League get mobilized in a hurry, especially with Identity Crisis going on, this is the issue for you. And the last page, again, makes me cry every time I see it. Also, that same week, we had Identity Crisis #4. Superman didn't have a huge part in that, but he was a part of it. And JLA Secret Files 2004 #1, as we were dealing with the Elite. Joe Kelly was really trying to make fetch happen with that one. There was a whole miniseries. I wrote the reviews for them. I have no memory of it. 2014, it is a bunch of Futures End stuff. We have Batman, Superman, Futures End #1. We have Supergirl, Futures End #1, where she is a cyborg because, of course, she is. And Superman, Wonder Woman, Futures End, where neither of them are cyborgs, but apparently they need to go to couples counseling.
And if these covers look funky to you folks, it's because they had a lenticular thing where you moved it left and right and you could see the motion of whatever the image was. So that's why it looks a little bit funky in a static image.
DC and the New 52. Every September, they did some kind of big, huge thing that derailed all of their titles for a month. Sometimes it was good. The Villains Month one was really cool. Those had lenticular covers. Futures End, man, I remember nothing about these books. I mean, I know I keep saying that, but I really don't remember anything about these stories.
It was a waste. It just I only remember so much about it, but what I do remember was I just didn't
wasn't
get
good.
Yeah.
In the real world, on September 15th, which was Sunday, Jackie Cooper was born in 1922. He's been in the business 40 years, man and boy. September 16th, a contemporary of Jackie Cooper, fellow Our Gang member, Tommy Bond, was born in 1926. Kurt Busiek, who wrote a really good run of Superman that recently, the first volume of which was released in a massive hardcover. I was surprised that thing was as big as it was. But most importantly, on September 16th, 1971, Steve Eunice of the Superman homepage was born. I guess we could just show you in the middle there. We don't even have to do a picture.
Yes, thank you.
Very happy birthday to Steve.
Right
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. 53 today. Oh, well, yeah, today for you guys, yesterday for me because it's already tomorrow.
I was about to say, because you're in the future. It's okay. September 17th, Bryan Singer, director of Superman Returns, was born in 1965. But I think we want to focus more on Roger Stern, who wrote Superman for 5 years in the late 80s and early 90s, was born in 1950. Nice guy. I've met him on several occasions. One of my favorite Superman writers. September 18th, James Marsden was born in 1973. I keep forgetting that he is only 3 years older than I am. It's kind of weird. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. September 19th, Adventures of Superman, the television series debuted in 1952. But more importantly, Radio KAL Live, the ancestor to the show you're watching right now, premiered in 2011. We have been doing this, Steve, for 13 years. We were on Blog Talk Radio, which, if you don't know what Blog Talk Radio, I can give you the experience right now. Take 2 paper cups, put a string between them, and talk. And that's essentially the technology we were working with at the time. How I miss the days of having to screen the calls in case people wanted to do something vulgar. But no, Steve, we've been doing it for 13 years, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Michael and I started as an audio program. It's Blog Talk Radio. It was good technology for its day. Like, it allowed us to take callers and we could screen them, and and we had some amazing interviews. I mean,
God, yeah.
Back in those times, obviously
Jack O'Halloran, Jeff Loeb,
Jeffrey
Jeff
East,
the most infamous of them. We got Alfred Goth from Smallville. The thing I remember most about that is that how nice he was, but also how he was just like, you were one of the few guys talking about us.
Yeah.
Because it was really like us and Krypton Site with Craig, who we have a very nice relationship with, quote unquote.
I've got actually some of the audios from some of the, like we asked them to do, like here.
This is Jeff Loeb, and you're listening to Radio KAL Live from SupermanHomepage.com.
And that does sound like a string between 2 tin cans.
Yeah.
This was our best one.
This is James Konachek, the voice of Superman. You're listening to KAL Live.
Love James Konachek.
Yeah, the thing about James Konachek, if whoever's watching this isn't familiar, he was Superman in the graphic audio productions from like 2006 to 2011, somewhere around there. And that man, that's his natural speaking voice. His Superman voice is his natural speaking voice. So when because I thought, he was going to maybe have a higher timbre to it. It's like, no, Superman was talking to us the entire time.
Yeah.
So that was a nice, that was a nice interview. I was glad that we were able to get that.
He was Jax.
This is Jack O'Halloran. You're listening to Radio KAL live on SupermanHomepage.com.
Yeah.
That is probably the clearest one outside of James Konachek. Well, to be fair, James recorded his separately.
Yeah, he
on
did that
his
as
equipment and sent it to you.
That's right.
So that's why that sounds professional.
Indeed. So there you have it, folks. That is tonight's program of Superman Homepage Live, kind of looking back at some of the historic things that we've done and some of the history around Superman. So thank you for This Week in History, Michael. That was fantastic. But that is our program for tonight. I want to thank my 2 co-hosts, Michael Bailey, Mark Lax. Thank you for joining me, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It was a pleasure as always, man.
Don't forget, we will be back next week at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on Monday, September 23rd. Monday, September 23rd, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time for another edition of Superman Homepage Live. Hope you'll join us then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. Thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, Tina Murray, and let me get my other one quickly. Luke Moody, thank you for your support of the Superman homepage. Thank you, everyone who joined us over this past hour. Thank you for everyone on Instagram for the first time. We'll be looking into all the different ways that we can make sure it looks better and is a better experience for you on Instagram. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate your company. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back next week, as I said. I'm Steve Eunice. On behalf of myself, Michael Bailey, Mark Lax, thanks for watching Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com. Night.